Hello, my name is Shelby Vidmar, and this is my digital field observation video report, general observations, and narrative. Class that stood out to me was Miss Warburton's algebra classroom, and it was in week 6 and 7's observation videos. Class started with the students doing a warm-up on the board while the teacher was taking attendance. The teacher then allowed the students to grade their own homework. I have seen other students grade other students' work, but I haven't seen students grade their own work using the honor system in the classroom before. Stand out to me. An incident I saw was in week 4 observation video, When a Lesson Goes Wrong, part 1 and 2. In the first video, the teacher has the students do their lesson or activity independently, but the students end up having their own conversations and ignoring the activity overall. The teacher responds by saying no one is doing the activity and then starts laughing out of frustration. But in the second part of the video, the teacher has a new class and changes up her lesson plan slightly by having the students work in pairs. And this ends up coming back with a better response as the students keep themselves on track. It was interesting to see a teacher go from an incident where the students aren't responding to the lesson and changing up her lesson plan slightly to get a better reaction from the students. In week 5 videos, I tried to focus on the student and teacher's behaviors. In the video, Deeper Learning Through Student Voice Project, I observed that the students responded very well to instruction. For example, they clapped for other students when instructed, they quieted down when the teacher, and the students were also very respectful, as they made eye contact with the teacher and were quiet when they were talking. The students also were very helpful towards one another, as students would give each other advice. Scrolling down my week 5 observations to the teachers section, I noticed multiple behaviors. In the first video right here, the teacher allows students to go to a different classroom to print out more flyers, showing he is very trusting in his students and allows them to leave the classroom. In this video right here, the teacher compliments the students on their discussions and is very encouraging towards the students. In this bottom video, the teacher, when the students were incorrect, the teacher said, "Nice job," or observation, which was also very encouraging to the students because she didn't point out that he was incorrect, but pointed out that he made an observation and that he was trying. And in this middle video, the teacher walked around the groups and helped students with their spelling. This showed me that the teacher was being very helpful as he walked around and was very attentive to all the students. An important quote I found was in week 11's observation video, Number Talks in 2nd grade. It was at the end of the class and the teacher was having students raise their hand and reflect on the activity they just had done. When one person raised their hand, they pointed out that another student had made a mistake and gotten the wrong answer. The teacher was quick to say that making mistakes helps us to learn. If you are making mistakes, it means you are trying new things. She was telling the students that it was okay to make mistakes and that we can learn from our mistakes. Also encouraging the students to keep trying even if they make mistakes, which I thought was really important. Now on to my analysis and conclusions. The weekly observation videos and what we were learning in class that particular week always had a connection. One connection I had from discussions in class and the observation videos was that when explaining lessons or activities, it is important to establish expectations for the students to promote positive behavior. In the videos I mentioned recently, When a Lesson Goes Wrong Part 1 and A Lesson Goes Wrong Part 2, in the first part of her video, she lists instructions and hands out materials but doesn't list any expectational behaviors, which leads the students to just talking and getting off task. However, in her second part of her video, the teacher hands out materials while explaining some instructions, but also lists expectations for the students and their behavior. This led to positive behavior, and the class went smoothly, and the students stayed on task. In the video, a closer look at Toni Morrison's Beloved, which was also in week 4 observation videos. He not only lists instructions for his class in front of the classroom, but also lists expectations for the students and calls on students to explain how they should be behaving during their group discussions and working on their projects. This also led to positive behavior in the classroom as the students stayed on task throughout the activity. In Chapter 3 of the textbook, the book explains a way to promote positive behavior is by establishing explicit and reasonable behavioral expectations. Looking at the observation videos and taking information from the textbook, I created my conclusion when explaining a lesson or activity is important to establish expectations for the students to promote positive behavior. A connection I found between the observation videos and the class discussions was in week 8 and 9, teaching illusion. I found an example of formative assessment, which has been talked about a lot during class. It was at the end of this video, the teacher was using the students to basically assess her lesson plan by having the students reflect on the content standards and their understanding of them after the lesson plan. And she would use the information from the reflections to create a better lesson plan the week after to go back to those content standards the students did not understand. And I think that was an example of formative assessment as the teacher used the information of the lesson plan she had and was going to create a better lesson plan next time. And we have talked about formative assessment a lot in the classroom, and that is a connection I found within the videos. Week 11, number talks in second grade video. The students show examples of equity and advocacy in their number talks, which was their group discussions, as the students share their ideas and use their sentence frames, which were used in the discussions. And an example of the sentence frame was, I agree with you, however, or I agree with you, or I disagree with you. Maybe we can look at it from this perspective. And it was just showing respectful and fairness between the groups and the students. Their use of the sentence frames was also something that surprised me while watching these observation videos. And I was shocked to see how well the discussions of these second graders went when discussing the different processes of solving the problems and how respectful they were towards and one another. When teaching in a diverse classroom, I have been taught to treat every student the same, even if the student may have a disability. The idea was reinforced in Week 5, Deeper Learning Through Student Voice Project. As the teacher was working with an autism student, the student did the same amount of work and got the same feedback from the teacher. Although the teacher did check in on the student more, the student was still doing the same amount of work and wasn't looked at different.